The exile. Captain Ilara Hayes stood at the observation deck of the Earth Embassy on Xendera, watching the kaleidoscope of alien vessels navigate the capital world's bustling skyways. The datapad in her hand trembled slightly as she read the official notice for the third time. After 8 years of membership in the Galactic Alliance, humanity had been expelled. The document used elegant diplomatic language, citing concerns regarding unregulated technological advancement and cultural integration irregularities. But Ilara knew the truth. Earth was advancing too quickly, adapting and innovating at a pace that frightened the older species that dominated the Alliance Council. "Captain, Earth Command is waiting for your report," said Lieutenant Raj Patel, appearing at her side. His usually composed face showed rare signs of stress. "Thank you, Lieutenant." Ilara squared her shoulders and moved toward the secure communications chamber. Ambassador Chen was already there, his face ashen as he prepared to join the call. The large display flickered to life, revealing the grim faces of Earth's unified command. Admiral Garcia spoke first. "Captain Hayes, Ambassador Chen, we've received the official notice. Is there any possibility of appeal?" Chen shook his head. "No, Admiral. The Council invoked Article 17 of the Charter. The vote was 12-2 against us, with only the Arcturians and Tassetians supporting humanity's continued membership." "What exactly are the terms of this expulsion?" asked Director Okonkwo of Earth Intelligence. Ilara stepped forward. "All humans must evacuate Alliance space within 30 Earth days. Our ships, personnel, and established outposts must withdraw to Sol System immediately. After the deadline, they're establishing a quarantine field around our entire system. No ships in, no ships out." A heavy silence fell over the room. Earth had integrated Alliance technologies into countless aspects of society over the past 8 years. Millions of jobs depended on interstellar trade. Medical advances from alien civilizations had saved countless lives. "Can they truly enforce such a quarantine?" asked General Lai. Ambassador Chen nodded grimly. "The Alliance possesses technology centuries beyond ours in certain domains. Their restriction field can indeed isolate an entire star system." "There's more," Ilara added. "Unofficial sources tell me they plan to dismantle our orbital stations and confiscate any advanced technology they believe we acquired through Alliance membership." Director Okonkwo's expression darkened. "Those stations were built with Earth materials and labor. That's outright theft. They're calling it regression protocols to ensure dangerous innovations don't threaten galactic stability," Chen replied bitterly. Admiral Garcia stood up, her decision made. "Captain Hayes, you are hereby assigned to lead Operation Lifeboat. Your priority is to gather whatever critical resources, information, and technologies you can salvage before the deadline. Ambassador Chen, you have 48 hours to extract any possible diplomatic concessions before the embassy is closed." Ilara nodded, her mind already racing with plans. "Understood, Admiral." "We need to prepare Earth for isolation," Garcia continued. "We've grown dependent on Alliance trade and technology. This will be a devastating transition." As the meeting concluded, Ilara turned to Raj. "Gather the team. We have work to do." For the next 3 weeks, Ilara's team worked tirelessly. Under diplomatic cover, they salvaged what they could: medical formulas, engineering specifications, cultural databases. They called in favors from alien contacts who had grown to respect humanity, securing seeds, biological samples, and technological components that would be impossible to replicate once cut off from the wider galaxy. Ambassador Chen negotiated desperately, securing minor concessions: medical supplies to ease the transition, permission for self-sufficient human colonies on Mars and Europa to remain intact, agreements that the orbital stations would at least be left in place, even if stripped of advanced technology. Meanwhile, across Alliance space, humans scrambled to return home. Traders called in final shipments, scientists downloaded research data, military personnel abandoned their posts. A network of loyal human operatives, built over years by Earth intelligence, activated contingency plans that had been created for exactly this scenario. The Alliance Council believed isolation would weaken humanity and slow its progress. They didn't understand what they were dealing with. On the final day before departure, Ilara received a visitor at her temporary quarters. The Arcturian ambassador Velix appeared at her door, looking furtively down the corridor before entering. "Captain Hayes, I have little time. My government officially protests this action against Earth, but we are overruled." "I appreciate your support, Ambassador," Ilara said, gesturing for him to sit. "I bring more than words." Velix produced a small crystal, glowing with internal light. This contains coordinates and access codes for several abandoned Arcturian research outposts beyond Alliance space, facilities that might prove useful to innovative minds. Ilara took the crystal, understanding the enormous risk the Arcturian was taking. Why? Because the Council's decision is driven by fear, not wisdom. My species once faced similar prejudice before we became founding members. History repeats itself. Velix stood to leave. "Humans have impressed many of us with your adaptability and creativity. Not all in this galaxy support your isolation." After he departed, Ilara secured the crystal with her most precious salvage, then finalized her preparations for departure. On the morning of the deadline, Ilara commanded the last diplomatic vessel leaving Zendara. The Earth embassy stood empty behind them as their ship rose into the atmosphere. Through the viewports, Alliance enforcement vessels could be seen taking position around the planet, their weapons tracking the departing human ship. "Course laid in for Earth, Captain," reported the pilot. "Execute," Ilara ordered, taking one last look at the glittering alien capital that had rejected humanity. As their ship accelerated toward the jump point, alarm systems suddenly blared. Alliance cruiser closing fast. Raj called out. "They're powering weapons." "Evasive maneuvers," Ilara commanded. "What are they doing?" "We're leaving peacefully within the deadline." Communications officer Maya Santos looked up from her console. "Incoming transmission, Captain." The stern face of an Alliance enforcement commander appeared on screen. "Earth vessel, power down and prepare for boarding. By order of the Council, all departing human ships must undergo inspection to prevent technological theft." Ilara felt cold anger rising. This inspection wasn't in any agreement. It was a last-minute humiliation designed to strip them of whatever they'd managed to salvage. She opened a channel. "Alliance vessel, we are a diplomatic ship operating under interstellar law. Your boarding request is denied. We will maintain course for Earth." "This is not a request, Captain. Power down immediately, or we will disable your vessel." Ilara muted the transmission and turned to her crew. "Options." Navigation Officer Tarek Kauri spoke up. "The jump point is 3 minutes away at maximum acceleration. If we divert all power from non-essential systems to engines and shields, we might make it, but it will be close." "Do it," Ilara ordered, "and prepare emergency jump protocols." She reopened the channel. "Alliance vessel, we reject your unlawful boarding attempt. Any hostile action against a diplomatic vessel constitutes an act of war." The Alliance commander's expression hardened. "You have 10 seconds to comply, or we will open fire." Ilara cut the transmission. "Maximum thrust, now." Their ship lurched forward as the engines pushed beyond safety parameters. Behind them, the Alliance cruiser fired a warning shot that passed just meters from their hull. "They're targeting our engines," Raj reported tensely. "Evasive pattern Delta," Ilara commanded. "Deploy countermeasures." Their ship rolled and twisted as it raced toward the jump point, the Alliance cruiser closing the gap with each passing second. Energy beams lanced out, grazing their shields. "Shields at 60%, reported engineer Diana Wright. 1 direct hit and we're done." "Jump point in 45 seconds, Tarek called out. The Alliance cruiser fired again, this time striking a glancing blow to their port engine. The ship shuddered violently. "Port thruster damage. Diana shouted over warning alarms. Rerouting power. 30 seconds to jump point. Tarek counted down. Another blast hit them, harder this time. Conduits burst overhead, showering the bridge with sparks. Shields critical. Jump drive charging minus 15 seconds. The Alliance vessel moved to blocking position, cutting off their escape route. They're directly in our path, Raj warned. Ilara made a split-second decision. Maintain course. Full power to forward shields. Captain. Maya looked shocked. They expect us to veer off. We won't. Braced for impact. The human ship accelerated directly toward the much larger Alliance cruiser. At the last possible moment, the alien vessel veered aside, unwilling to risk a collision. Jump point achieved. Tarek shouted triumphantly. Execute emergency jump, Ilara ordered. Space twisted around them as the jump drive activated, flinging them across light years toward Earth. The bridge crew erupted in cheers as the Alliance cruiser vanished from their sensors. Their jubilation was short-lived. When they emerged in Earth's solar system 3 days later, they discovered Alliance enforcers had already arrived. Massive ships orbited Earth, their technologies deploying the first elements of the quarantine field that would soon envelop the entire system. As Ilara's ship approached Earth, she gazed at the homeworld through the viewport. The planet looked peaceful from orbit, its blue oceans and white clouds giving no hint of the crisis unfolding. But she knew that below, governments were scrambling to manage the sudden cutoff from galactic society. Economies were in free fall, and millions faced an uncertain future. We made it, Captain, Raj said quietly, standing beside her. Yes, Ilara replied, watching as Alliance ships systematically stripped advanced technology from Earth's orbital stations. But now the real challenge begins. She clutched the small bag containing everything she'd managed to salvage, including the Arcturian crystal. The Council thought they were containing a problem by isolating humanity. Instead, they had lit a fire. Send a message to Earth Command, she told Maya. Tell them Operation Lifeboat is complete, and that I need to speak with them immediately about something called Phoenix Protocol. Earth would not simply accept its fate and fade away. Humanity wasn't built that way. When backed into a corner, humans didn't surrender. They evolved. The resurgence. 5 years after the quarantine fell around Sol system, Dr. Marcus Chen stood in his laboratory deep beneath Olympus Mons on Mars, staring at the holographic model rotating before him. It represented the culmination of half a decade's work, a theoretical approach to disrupting the Alliance's quarantine field. Run the simulation again, he instructed his AI assistant. Adjust the quantum resonance by 0.03%. The model flickered, recalculated, then stabilized into a new configuration. Energy pathways that had previously destabilized now held steady. Probability of successful field penetration, 73.8%, reported the AI. Marcus exhaled slowly. 5 years ago, he had been a junior xenobiologist at a research outpost in Alliance space. Now he led Earth's most critical scientific project, finding a way through the impenetrable barrier that had cut humanity off from the stars. Save the model and contact Admiral Hayes, he said, allowing himself a moment of hope. Tell her Project Prometheus is ready for field testing. 12 hours later, Ilara Hayes, promoted to Admiral after the quarantine, stood in the same laboratory, examining the model with intense concentration. The years had left their mark on her. New lines around her eyes, a streak of silver in her dark hair, a scar along her jaw from a desperate mission to retrieve Alliance technology from a decommissioned orbital platform. You're certain this will work? She asked, circling the hologram. As certain as I can be without an actual test, Marcus replied. The quarantine field works by creating a phase-shifted barrier that rejects matter in normal spacetime. But my team discovered a harmonic vulnerability, a frequency that causes temporary alignment. In simple terms, Doctor, we can punch a hole in their wall, but only briefly and only large enough for a small ship. Ilara nodded. How long before you can build a working prototype? 3 months, maybe less with additional resources. You'll have them. This is now our top priority. She deactivated the hologram because we've received new intelligence that changes everything. She activated a secure data terminal, bringing up images captured by Earth's deepest space observation platforms, the few that had survived the quarantine's implementation. The alliance is fracturing, she explained. The Tarsicians have formally withdrawn in protest of trade restrictions. The Arcturians are in open dispute with the Council over governance reforms, and there are rumors of an armed conflict in the Rigel sector. Marcus studied the data with surprise. This is our opportunity. Exactly. The Alliance was never as unified as they wanted us to believe. Their fear of humanity was really the fear of certain dominant species who control the Council. She paused, her expression hardening. And while they've been watching us, we haven't been idle. In the 5 years since the quarantine, humanity had been transformed by necessity. Cut off from alien medicines, Earth's pharmaceutical industry had undergone a renaissance, developing new treatments based on half-understood alliance formulas. Engineers had reverse-engineered salvage alien technologies, creating hybridized systems that combined human ingenuity with extraterrestrial principles. The colonies on Mars and Europa had expanded beyond all projections as humanity, denied the stars, turned its exploratory drive to fully developing its home system. New habitats orbited Venus, mining operations flourished in the asteroid belt, and research outposts extended to the Kuiper belt. Most importantly, humanity had united as never before. The threat of extinction had dissolved old national rivalries. Earth's resources and talent now served a single purpose: survival and eventual return to galactic society. On their own terms. How soon can you be ready to lead the mission? Marcus asked. Ilara's expression was resolute. As soon as your device is operational. I've already selected the crew and the vessel. 3 months later, in the massive underground shipyard carved into Phobos, Mars' innermost moon, Ilara stood before the sleek vessel that represented humanity's greatest achievement since the quarantine. Named Phoenix, it incorporated every technological innovation developed in isolation, along with systems reverse-engineered from salvaged Alliance components. Her hand-picked crew waited at attention. Raj Patel, now a commander, Diana Wright, whose engineering genius had helped create the ship, Dr. Sophia Novak, xenolinguist and diplomat, and Major Jackson Cole, security specialist. This mission carries the hopes of every human in the Sol system, Ilara told them during their final briefing. Once we breach the quarantine, we'll proceed to the coordinates provided by our Arcturian ally 5 years ago. If those outposts still exist, they'll give us a foothold beyond Alliance space, a place to establish contact with potential allies. She activated a holographic map of known space. Intelligence suggests multiple non-Alliance species have expressed concern about humanity's treatment. Some may be willing to establish relations, if we can reach them. And if we're detected by Alliance enforcement? Asked Major Cole. We evade if possible, engage only if necessary, Ilara replied. This is primarily a reconnaissance and diplomatic mission. The Phoenix has advanced stealth systems, but it's not designed for extended combat. The launch occurred during a scheduled solar flare, a natural phenomenon that created interference in the quarantine field's detection systems. The Phoenix slipped from its berth on Phobos and accelerated at maximum thrust toward the predetermined breach point. Dr. Chen's device, mounted in the ship's prow, activated as they approached the invisible barrier. The viewports filled with coruscating energy as quantum harmonics interacted with the field structure. Field density increasing, reported Diana from engineering. Breach device at 85% capacity and rising. Maintain course, Ilara ordered. Full power to the device. The Phoenix shuddered as it pushed against the fundamental forces holding the quarantine field in place. Warning signals flashed across console displays. Breach device at maximum capacity. Diana called out. Field integrity destabilizing. For a breathless moment, nothing happened. Then, like fabric tearing under tension, a narrow aperture opened in the previously impenetrable barrier. "We have breach," Raj announced. "Aperture is stable but narrowing -20 seconds until collapse." "Take us through," Ilara commanded. The Phoenix surged forward into the opening. As they passed through, the ship groaned under tremendous stress, its hull plates flexing against forces they were never designed to withstand. "Structural integrity holding," Diana reported through gritted teeth. "Just barely." With a final lurch, they broke through to the other side as the breach collapsed behind them. For the first time in 5 years, humans had escaped the Sol quarantine. "Damage report," Ilara requested, unclenching her hands from the command chair's armrests. "Multiple systems stressed but functional," Diana responded. "The breach device is burned out. We'll need to fabricate a new one to return." As expected, Ilara nodded. "Navigation. Set course for the Arcturian coordinates. Maximum stealth protocols. We're in hostile territory now." The Phoenix slipped through the darkness of interstellar space, its advanced stealth systems rendering it nearly invisible to conventional detection. 2 weeks later, they approached the coordinates from the Arcturian crystal. "I'm detecting a small cluster of structures on the 4th planet," Raj reported. "Minimal power signatures, but definitely artificial." "Life signs?" Ilara asked. "None that our sensors can detect," Sophia answered. "But there are automated systems still functioning." They landed the Phoenix near the abandoned outpost, a collection of domed structures half buried in the planet's reddish soil. As the away team explored the facility, they discovered it had been vacant for decades, but its systems remained operational, maintained by sophisticated AI. "This is incredible," Diana breathed as she accessed the main computer. "This station has been gathering intel on Alliance activities for over 60 years. The Arcturians have been playing a very long game." "Can you download the data?" Ilara asked. "Already in progress." "But there's something else." Diana's eyes widened as she read the screen. "This isn't just an observation post. It's a node in a network that spans beyond Alliance space. There are coordinates for dozens of similar outposts and communication protocols for contacting non-Alliance civilizations." Over the next 3 days, they absorbed everything the outpost had to offer. They discovered the Alliance's expansion had created enemies, species who had been marginalized or threatened by the dominant powers. Some had formed a loose coalition called the Free Worlds Confederation, operating in the shadows of Alliance influence. Most importantly, they learned they weren't the only ones the Alliance had quarantined. 3 other species had suffered similar fates over the past millennium, all for the same reason: advancing too quickly for the Alliance's comfort. On the 4th day, as they prepared to depart with their precious data, the Phoenix's sensors detected an approaching vessel. "Alliance patrol ship," Raj confirmed. "Arius-class cruiser. They haven't spotted us yet, but they're on a direct course for this facility. Power down all non-essential systems," Ilara ordered. "Prepare for emergency launch if detected." As the crew scrambled to comply, Sophia made a discovery in the outpost communications array. "Admiral, I found something. An emergency protocol frequency. According to these logs, it connects directly to the Arcturian High Command." Ilara considered their options. They could hide and hope the patrol passed by, or they could take a calculated risk. "Open the channel," she decided. "Let's see if our Arcturian friends still remember us." The response was immediate. Within minutes of their transmission, the approaching Alliance cruiser suddenly altered course, veering away from the outpost as if responding to a higher priority call. An hour later, as they monitored Alliance communications, a message came through on a secure frequency, encoded in an Arcturian diplomatic cipher that had been included in a crystal from 5 years before. The message reads, "Captain Hayes, or should I say Admiral now. Your emergence from quarantine is timely. The Alliance Council's authority is being challenged from within. Return to these coordinates in 3 standard weeks. Bring evidence of humanity's progress." The galaxy deserves to hear your voice again. Sophia looked up from her console. It's signed by Ambassador Velix. Can we trust this? Major Cole asked skeptically. We have little choice, Ilara replied. But we'll approach cautiously. In the meantime, we have other outposts to visit. For the next 3 weeks, the Phoenix moved stealthily between the hidden Arcturian facilities, gathering intelligence and establishing contacts with representatives of the Free Worlds Confederation. They discovered a vast underground network opposed to Alliance policies of containment and control, species who valued innovation and diversity over stability and tradition. When they returned to the designated coordinates, they found not just Ambassador Velix waiting, but representatives from 7 major Alliance worlds and 5 non-Alliance species. It was a clandestine gathering of those who believed the quarantine of humanity had been a grave mistake. The Alliance Council overreached. Velix explained during their initial meeting aboard a neutral vessel. Their fear of humanity's rapid advancement blinded them to the benefits of your inclusion. In your absence, conservative elements have tightened control, restricting research and developmental assistance to younger civilizations. Why help us now? Ilara asked directly. Because the Alliance is at a crossroads, replied Ketal, a representative from Ta City. The quarantine of Earth was merely the most visible symptom of a deeper problem. The founding vision of galactic cooperation has been corrupted by the oldest members who fear change. We propose a demonstration, offered Velix, a controlled reintroduction of humanity to galactic affairs through a special hearing before the full assembly, not just the Council. Show them what humanity has achieved in isolation and how you might contribute to our shared future. Ilara considered the proposal carefully. And if the Council refuses, then at least 16 worlds are prepared to formally withdraw from the Alliance, Ketal stated firmly. The system cannot survive such a fracture. The plan was set in motion. Using diplomatic vessels provided by their new allies, Ilara and her team traveled to Xendera once more, this time openly, with guarantees of safe passage secured by the Arcturians. The Great Assembly Hall of Xendera had never seen such tension. Representatives from over 200 worlds filled the chamber, with the 12-member council seated at the elevated platform. Alliance security forces lined the walls, their weapons conspicuously visible. Ambassador Velix spoke first, invoking an ancient provision that allowed for the reconsideration of Council decisions when supported by sufficient member worlds. The quarantine of Earth was enacted out of fear, not wisdom, he proclaimed. Today we will hear from humanity directly about what they have achieved in isolation and what the Alliance has lost through their absence. When Ilara took the central podium, whispers rippled through the assembly. Many had never seen a human in person before, knowing them only through Council propaganda. 5 years ago, your Council declared humanity too dangerous for galactic society. She began, her voice steady and clear. You feared our rate of advancement, our tendency to adapt and incorporate ideas across disciplines. You called it dangerous innovation and locked us away. She activated a holographic display that filled the chamber with images of Earth's achievements since quarantine. The Mars and Europa colonies, thriving despite isolation. New medical treatments developed from fragmentary Alliance knowledge. Engineering innovations born of necessity. Isolation did not weaken us. It focused us, she continued. We took the fragments of knowledge we had gathered during our brief membership and built upon them in ways you never imagined. We did this not to threaten you, but to survive. The Council Chair, a Danibian whose species had held power for millennia, interrupted. This display only confirms our concerns. Your unregulated advancement is exactly what the galaxy needs, Ilara countered. While your Council has restricted research, limited technological sharing, and quarantined species that advance too quickly, the real threats to galactic stability have grown unchecked. She showed new data, gathered during their weeks beyond the quarantine, of depleted worlds where Alliance resource extraction had left populations struggling, of rising tensions between inner and outer systems, of technological stagnation in critical areas like sustainable energy and environmental restoration. Humanity doesn't ask to rejoin your alliance on the old terms, Ilara declared. We propose a new framework, one where innovation is channeled rather than feared, where younger civilizations are mentored rather than controlled, where diversity of approach is valued rather than suppressed. The chamber erupted in voices, some in support, others in outrage. The council members conferred urgently among themselves as the assembly descended into chaos. Suddenly, alarm systems blared throughout the building. On the massive displays, a fleet of ships appeared in orbit around Sendera, vessels bearing the insignia of worlds that had secretly supported humanity's cause. This is not a coup, Velix announced over the din. This is a demonstration that the current system no longer functions. We demand reform, with humanity included in the process. For tense hours, negotiations continued in private chambers while the assembly remained in session. Finally, the council returned, their expressions grave. The council acknowledges that recent policies may have created unintended consequences. The Danubian chair stated carefully, we propose a one-year transition period during which the quarantine of Sol system will be gradually lifted, and a new framework for technological advancement will be developed, with input from all member worlds, including Earth. It wasn't an unconditional victory, but it was a beginning. As the assembly voted overwhelmingly to approve the proposal, Ilara exchanged glances with her crew. The Phoenix mission had accomplished far more than they had dared hope. Later, as they prepared to return to Earth with the news, Ambassador Velix approached Ilara privately. This is only the beginning, he told her. The Alliance will resist change at every step. So will we, Ilara replied with a slight smile. But we've learned to be patient. 5 years behind a quarantine wall teaches you that. What will humanity do now? The Arcturian asked. Ilara gazed out at the stars visible through the viewport, stars that would soon be open to human exploration once more. What we've always done, she answered. Adapt, innovate, explore, but this time, we'll bring friends with us. As the diplomatic vessel broke orbit, carrying the human delegation back toward Earth, Ilara knew the coming years would bring new challenges. The quarantine would lift slowly, the Alliance would struggle with reform, and humanity would face a galaxy more complex than they had imagined. But they would face it unafraid. When backed into a corner, humans didn't surrender. They evolved. And the galaxy would never be the same.